Right, hello, section B, writing. I'm going to do a really quick revision session, 5 minutes. This is January 2013 paper. It's the most recent one that we've had. It's a really important section, just as important as of mice and men. So let's get cracking. First thing, read the question at least 3 times. Now in this case, it's young people spend too much money on clothes and are often too influenced by brands and designer labels. There's a lot in there to take in. Get your highlighter out, break down the key words, and then read the question. Write an article to be included in an online magazine giving your views on this topic. Now you might think that's easy, but there's an awful lot to do in that. The first thing is to think about your pal. Now, in this case, there's a lot going on. Okay, you have got an article on an online magazine and you have to give your views. So it's probably purpose, inform, persuade, make sure your ideas are clear, argue out your point of view. Your audience is a tricky one. Again, it's not particularly clear. It's online, it's a magazine, so is it teenagers, is it students, is it young adults? You decide. Okay, but make sure your language matches up. So if it is teenagers, young adults, you're going to be chatty, informal, but yet strong in your tone and opinion, and making sure you get your ideas across. Now, layout. It could throw a bit of a spanner in the works, thinking about, it's for a website. In this case, just keep it simple. Use subheadings with little kind of topic words on top of each kind of paragraph. Maybe just a headline with some alliteration and a byline at the end. And again, it just gives an idea of the audience you're thinking about. Now, from there, you need to start thinking about then planning. In the foundation paper, you get 3 bullet points. Now, it's really good to have a look at these, even if you're doing higher, just to get a sense of what the examiners are looking for. And in this case, they're looking at whether young people should spend too much on clothes. You can argue for or against that. What else they should spend their money on, and whether it's worth spending money on particular brands. So from there, you need to start brainstorming, which we have here. Now the first thing is obviously whether we do spend too much. So you need to start thinking about that. Well, how much is too much? Who actually pays? Teenagers, working part-time jobs, or parents? When else can you actually afford to spend that kind of money just on clothes? Maybe teenagers are at the best time in their life to do that. What about side effects? Is something you could explore. Bullying. Is it worth actually spending the money so you're not picked on and you're not identified? Maybe it's something you could look at there. The second thing, the bullet point, is to look at, well, what else can you spend your money on? So again, you can brainstorm on that, spider diagram it. Well, maybe you could argue that it's better that they spend money on clothes than drugs and alcohol. Again, maybe bring in some statistics and anecdotes about less money now being spent on clothes, more money being spent on phones. Again, bring in the good side of it. I know from our school, charities, a lot of money been put towards those. Again, put in an anecdote that you raised £3,000 for CAFOD, something like that. And again, if teenagers are buying expensive clothes, when they grow out of them, it's better clothes that's going to charities through donations. So that's quite an interesting point on that. And the third bullet point is whether it's actually worth spending money. So in that you could discuss the quality, obviously, and again stereotyping certain brands, could bring in bullying there and trying avoiding that possibly. And then obviously maybe you're getting better value for money from places like Asda and Sainsbury's, George, etc. So you can argue all those points there. So the key is that obviously to plan and give yourself plenty to write about. You wouldn't need to talk about all these points, but certainly that would give you plenty to focus on, and at least you would hit all 3 points from the exam paper. Now, the next thing to think about is obviously details, language devices, and that comes through a forest, which you can see here. Alliteration, facts, opinions, repetition, emotive language, statistics, and the rule of 3. Now in this case you want to show real care with your vocabulary, showing you're thinking about words for effect, terrible teenagers, costly clothes, don't overdo it, just get it in when it's appropriate. Facts, use years, quotes from experts, teenagers, student voice. Really show that you've done your research and there's plenty out there to back up your point. And again, throw in your opinion. I think. Repeat certain key words: waste of money, value for money, haves, have-nots, depending on where you're going at. Get your point across and make it clear. Have a distinctive voice. Emotive language. Again, instead of saying it annoys me or it's sad, say it's disgusting waste or say it's shocking. And again, use statistics. 63% of people, 2 out of 3 students feel that. Really strong, powerful stuff supports your point. And then the rule of 3. Again, instead of just using one adjective, try and make sure, emphasize your point. Say that the money wasted is embarrassing, it's shocking, and it must be stopped, if that is your viewpoint. Now, getting back to the question, make sure you are hitting all of those points, reread, and then the last thing you need to really think about is structure. Now, discursive markers are hugely important, especially for foundation students. You want to think about your 3 points, possibly 4, well then match them up. So, firstly, young people do spend too much. Secondly, they could spend more money on this and that. And finally, it isn't worth spending money. And again, depending on your angle, just use these very simple words. You can use overall, just to help structure your argument. And again, lastly, please reread. You know your own weaknesses. You know where you make mistakes. Is it 2, 2 and 2? There, and there, capital letters, whatever it is. Look at it, reread it, and make sure you don't throw away easy marks. Go and try that question. It's on the VLE. I will be happy to have a look at it for you and give you some feedback, and time yourself. Best way to prepare. Thank you.